Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Success Through Showing Agents with MAPS coach, Jen Davis. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar an hour after the call. A recording of the webinar an hour after the call. If you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in the taskbar. If you have any questions that you would like the audience to share along with you, please use your chat bar in your webinar taskbar. Following this call, if you have any questions about today's webinar or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That is FASTTRACK@kw.com. That's all for me. Jen, take it away.
Thanks, Courtney Lynn. Have a great day. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jen Davis. I am the CEO of Holt Homes Group in Springfield, Missouri, and we are going to dive in today to learn about showing agents. What makes it work? What's hard about it, what's good about it, and how we make it a successful program for you and your team. So before we get started, we're going to talk about the program that MAPS has partnered with me on, and that is really building this team within a team. And what it's going to do is it's going to help develop leaders within your organization so that they can build a team underneath the mega agent. It's also going to talk about everything to do with the buy side. We're going to go through scripts. We're going to go through setting expectations with clients, setting expectations with the team. We're going to talk about increasing your production while still having quality of life. We're going to talk about all things leverage. So we're going to utilize leverage with admin. We're going to utilize leverage with lead generation and eventually showings. And then what we're going to talk about is now that we've found great people and we are establishing this team within a team, how do we keep them? Number one, how do we find them? Number two, how do we keep them? And we are going to dive very deep in utilizing this showing agent model to increase your customer care and increase your repeat business. So the program details, we actually launch on Wednesday. They're going to be every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you are not available during that time, you will receive a recording within an hour after each call ending. You'll also receive a booklet with homework and kind of line items to give you a very tangible takeaway each week so that you can implement it into your business and increase that business. So if you go to mapscoaching.com and you click on Level Up Building a Team Within a Team, you can get more information on this program. So we're going to jump in a little bit right now, and I'm just going to give you, for those of you that don't know me, my history. So again, I am Jen Davis. I'm a MAPS coach. I am also the CEO of Holt Homes Group in Springfield, Missouri. However, I spent the first 6 years being on the team. I was the lead buyer specialist. And so this kind of goes through kind of my growth through numbers, just to give you an idea of, as we added layers of leverage, what happened to our production numbers. So my first year in the business within KW, I had been an agent at another brokerage before. I closed 49 units, utilizing the leverage that I had with admin support. And what we're going to do is we're really going to divide being a buyer's agent and building out a team into 5 different levels of leverage. So our first week in the class or the program, we're going to go over how do we leverage, or how do we get to mastery as a buyer's agent. So with minimal leverage, how do we master being a buyer's agent? What scripts do we utilize to help more people? And that first week, we're going to talk about how do you show fewer houses and have better results. The second week of the program, we're going to go over leverage with admin support. So you can see I went from 49 to 72 units in a 1 year's time by having specialized focus on the admin side. I was able to dive into my top 20% activities and have an increase in production. The next year and the next week, so we're matching up these levels kind of how I approached this leverage on the buy side. So week 3, we're going to go over leverage with lead generation. How do we build this massive pipeline? So most people, I think, look at it, and at this point, they're looking at, I need a showing agent. I need somebody to jump in and help me with client care. And I would challenge you to think a little bit differently. How do we build up this massive pipeline so you can build a team within a team and have production people work with you? Well, we do that by having a massive amount of leads and having a very, very big pipeline. So when I added a MAPS coach and I added lead generation on the buy side, we jumped from 72 units to 110. Keep in mind, that is before we had any type of help with showings. So I was the only buyer's agent on the team, but by strategic leverage, we were able to continually put each person on that team within the team in their top 20%. So then we get to this level 4, and this is actually where we're going to focus today, which is super exciting because it's a hot button topic. This is when we added showing agents. So we looked at this, and I was the ceiling for lead generation. They couldn't book any more appointments because I had no additional availability. So what we did is we looked at this and we thought, okay, now we're ready for production people. I've got a consistent business history. I have now a vision for a team within a team, and I can pitch somebody else on joining our team as a showing agent. So when we added the showing agent, we added our first one in January of 2016 and our second one in July of 2016. And our buy side numbers jumped up from 110 to actually 182 units. That was with myself and 2 showing agents. This program is going to show you how you get there, the thought process behind each piece of leverage, and why you don't rush any different level of this leverage. The following year, we had the same 2 showing agents. I did add an executive assistant, and we jumped up to 223 units. Last year, we added some additional leverage for nights and weekends, ISA, and additional OSA to give some other team members some quality of life back. And we, with me kind of moving out of production on the buy side, it was myself and those same 2 showing agents. We closed right at 220 units last year. And that was giving everybody some quality of life back. So let's jump in. Let's talk about the showing agent model. This is what everybody's on the call wanting to learn about. What is it? What's a showing agent model? Well, what I can tell you is what it's not. It's not a showing assistant model, right? So when we talk about a showing agent, what I want you to understand is that they are a licensed agent. They are an expert in the field. They have a very strong top 20% that's going to fit within your organization. So they're not an assistant. They're not someone that is just going to go take over showings because you no longer want to do them. They are somebody that is going to be your business partner. And in every sense of the word, this is the leverage of the relationship part of your business. This is the first time you're going to take your clients and trust somebody else with them. And I would liken that to how your rainmaker is utilizing you as a buyer's agent, or rainmakers think of this as adding, just leverage on the buy side. So what we're talking about is, how do we make this really a big win-win for you and the showing agent, and how do we ensure that the customer service doesn't slip? So a showing agent, their primary responsibility, in my opinion, is they are showing property to qualified buyers. The qualifying of buyers is your responsibility, lead buyer specialists or rainmakers, if you're going directly to a showing agent model. And it's also getting them to the point of writing an offer. So they are an expert in the field, and they are an expert at closing someone on a property. They are working in partnership, right? They're your business partner with the lead buyer specialist to find a win property. So they are the boots on the ground. They're the ones in the field that are seeing the reactions to the homes that you're finding after doing a really amazing buyer consultation. So the showing agent is a lead nurturer. They are not a lead generator. So when we're talking about these top 20% activities, what we want is, we want these showing agents to be in those activities, and it is showing property, and it is getting them to the point of writing a contract. So the reason I leveraged lead generation first is because I was building the foundation of my business. I was building the foundation so that I would be able to utilize showing agents homes so that they could convert more leads and go on more appointments and write more contracts. So they're going to nurture those buyers that are a 30-day buyer. However, their main responsibility is not cold calling or dialing or any type of that type of prospecting. They have activities that they're expected to do as far as open houses go. However, because we have leveraged lead generation first, if they pull a lead from an open house and that's not a 30-day buyer, they are trained to give that back to the lead generation department to nurture it until it is a 30-day buyer. We are keeping them in their zone, right? So what we're trying to do is keep them in front of the people that are ready, willing, and able to buy a home. The showing agent is an expert in the field. They are not a door opener. So this is not a Vanna White situation where the lead buyer specialist or the rainmaker is the expert and the showing agent is just showing up to open the door to leverage off this piece of your business that you no longer want to do because it's time consuming. What you're doing is you're enabling them to be this expert in the field. You're training them in a very systematic way so that when they get into the field, it is clear to the client that this is their show. This is where their expertise starts. So we're not bringing people on to just open doors and to leverage off that part of it. We want them to develop a relationship with the client. We want them to build those past clients. And when I typically talk about this, someone will say to me, well, aren't you worried that they're going to be tied to the showing agent? I hope they're tied to the showing agent. The showing agents are my responsibility and their success is my success. So we're building out repeat and referral clients for them as well. So just so you know, I don't look at the showing agent role as an entry-level role. It is a level of expertise that they're going to have. And when we talk about showing agents, I was hesitant to use one at the beginning because there was this misconception that showing agents had a high turnover rate. And what I will tell you is it's not the case. My first showing agent that I hired in January of 2016 is now the lead buyer specialist for our team. However, she was a showing agent for 3 years. She didn't transition into the lead buyer specialist role until she was ready. And when she was ready, she was really ready. There's not much left for me to train her on because she spent so much time in the field and we spent so much time training. Now she's developed her own sphere of business and I'm setting her up for success within our team so that she can also build out this model. So when we talk about my first showing agent, her name's Kathleen. People will say, well, you were able to sell 110 homes because you worked all the time. It's not accurate. When I sold 110 homes, I only worked 2 nights a week and 1 day of the weekend. Kathleen was able to emulate that. Last year, she closed on 100 units and had more control over her schedule last year than she's ever had. And we're setting her up to then move forward within our organization to be super successful. So your showing agent is an extension of you. Their training is your only priority. It becomes your one thing so that you can drive production. So the more that you can pour into your showing agents and the more that you can get them to buy into your company. We talk in our company that it's called one company, one language. Whether someone gets me or they get Kathleen or they get my other showing agent, Cody, we're all going to talk the same. We're going to utilize this one company, one language. What that means is we are absorbed in our culture for our team. And so the consumer has a consistent experience. Went from the first time they dial in as a lead till the time I do a buyer consult, till the time they go out on the appointment with the showing agent and eventually closing, every member of our team speaks the same language. And that happens with training. So their training has to be your priority. You have to engage their interests and their goals have to be the measure of your success. So it's difficult sometimes to learn how to win through others, right? So as a lead buyer specialist or a rainmaker, we're used to it being our name. We're used to being the ones that are invited to Thanksgiving dinner or baby's birthday parties or whatever it might be. And what happens is now that we're leveraging off this relationship piece, we need to understand that the show now is for the showing agent. So we're making them have the emotional, we're allowing them, not making them, we're allowing them to have the emotional connection with the clients. And we have to set them up for success, and we have to be able to win through them. So who does the showing agent model work for? So this would be rainmakers or lead buyer specialists, director of sales that I'm talking to. It's got to be someone that has mastered their own personal productivity habits. And what I mean by that is you have to know your numbers and you have to know your standards. If you don't have standards for yourself, you're not going to be able to train standards in someone else. So for example, the standard on our team is 5 closings per month. Let that sink in. That's 5 per month. So the minimum is 60 units per year. I knew before I ever hired a showing agent that I had that business because I was bringing in somebody into that business that needed to make a living off of what I could provide. And so what I was doing is when you've got your standard and you've got your expectations, you can train to that. It also allows you to know if someone's working or not working. If you don't have a standard for yourself and you don't know actually how much can be done, it's very hard to expect that of someone else and have realistic expectations. You have to understand your market. How long does it take to show a home? How many homes should you be selling or showing before you put one under contract? So for me, I knew I could show 2 to 3 homes before someone wrote an offer. I can now expect that and use that as a standard for our showing agents because I know that it can be done. You also have to be an agent who is committed to helping others succeed. This is not something to do just because you are tired of showing. This is because you want to win through others and you want to get to a place where you make an impact on their life, financially, spiritually, their family life. So when I look at this, I get a lot of times people will say, well, you know, we have this many buyer's agents and they each do 2 units a month. That's great. And my perspective of it is this. I would rather have 2 agents selling 10 units a month than 10 agents selling 2 units a month. And here's why. It's less people for me to manage, and I'm creating a culture of productivity. So with a culture of productivity, what happens is everyone rises to the top. It's not just the production people. That's lead generation, that's your admin staff, that's everybody. So if I am committed to helping others succeed, I can only impact their life if they're having extraordinary results. And then an agent who has team admin in place. So what I mean by this is if I don't have admin in place and I am going to leverage the showing first, and that showing agent goes out and they're showing property and they have someone that wants to write an offer and somebody else that needs disclosures and they need to print out their showings for the next day, if I don't have someone that can take over those tasks, I'm going to be that person. I will become the admin to the showing agent if I don't have the right people in place. So when we go through this program, my goal is to coach you around, let's think in steps of what levels we need to leverage first so that we're prepared when we bring in a production person. And then you have to be an agent who's committed to mastery. So when you're ready to bring in showing agents and really admin or lead generation, this would work for as well. As you're leading and training others, it's going to highlight what you're good at. It's going to highlight your own habits, good, bad, and the ugly. So what's going to happen is you're going to see what they've learned from you and what they've not learned from you, what you've trained well on and what you've not trained well on. And you must have the emotional intelligence to understand that your training is their training is a reflection of you. So the person you're training is a reflection of you. And if their training is poor or you're frustrated with what the results are, we have to have the emotional intelligence to go back and say, okay, let's look at this. How did I show up during that training portion? Did I have standards in place? Did I have materials in place? Did I have the scripts in place to help them to succeed? Because if I'm bringing in somebody from outside of my organization and I am pitching them on my vision, then I need to ensure that I have a solid business plan with solid business training. So who makes a great showing agent, right? So we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, I've mastered being a buyer's agent. I've got the leverage in place that I need. And maybe you're going to have a different tweak on your model. Maybe you're going to maybe you're not going to leverage lead generation the way that I did. Okay, so we're at the point and we're saying, okay, I'm ready to add a showing agent. Who makes a great one? A showing agent is an extension of you. So understand that as you're training, as intensive as that training is going to be, you better like that person. It should be someone that you want to spend more time with, because this is that relationship leverage. So you need to make sure they're going to show up in at least as good as you're going to show up, if not better. So I recruited people that had different talents than I have. So Kathleen has a very bubbly personality. She is someone you want to spend more time with. And she potentially is a little bit more patient than I am. And she asks a ton more questions than I do. So I got our business to a certain level. However, I understood that I was our cap and I was the ceiling of the buy side here. So when I was bringing in people, I was bringing in some strengths to my weaknesses. And it was with people that I genuinely liked and I genuinely wanted them to succeed. As you bring in showing agents, they become your main client. And what I mean by that is if you're leveraging the relationship and they're going out to meet with your clients, they now are your main client. Your wins all come through them. So it's no longer you putting new contracts, new contracts on homes. What it is Kathleen, Cody, they're putting homes under contract and they're celebrating with these families. And my win is seeing them hit their goals. My wins are on their 411s when they're establishing what their standards are, and their standards are better than mine. When I see this level of productivity go up, that's how I know that I'm winning. When I see that they have a great family life, when I see that they're making more money than they've ever had the opportunity to make before, that's how I win. So the characters I look for: somebody that's coachable, someone that is open to new ideas, that's willing to learn, that's hungry for the opportunity. And I will say across any position, showing agent, admin, lead generation, that sense of urgency is a key ingredient to making a good hire. Someone that is a driver of business, that wants it as much as you do. It's very hard to drag somebody along and consider that person talent. So if we've got someone that shows up on the KPA and in your interview process and going through CV, and they've got that high sense of urgency, if they have those other characteristics, you're going to find someone that's going to be a driver of your business. When we get into the program, we call those people empire builders or empire protectors. And it works both ways, but that sense of urgency is not something that you can teach. It is something that is innate within someone. And then you've got to have someone that buys into your vision, someone that will follow your systems and your models and make them better. They absorb what your scripts are, they absorb what your models are, and then as you go to new places and you reach new heights, that they can question those same systems and models and add efficiencies to them. This is a partnership. It's, we're not dictators. We're learning with them, and when it becomes that they're in the field more than you're in the field, then they get some sense of ownership of those systems and models. Now, for the most part, those are going to stay the same. They're going to be the ones that'll layer in the efficiencies that you don't see because they're in a role that you're not in. So when I bring somebody in that I'm interviewing, especially for the showing agent role, when I brought them in, I focused on the opportunity. What could happen? Where could we go, rather than commission splits? And that has been easier for me when I'm looking at showing agents that are outside of industry. Then the commission split isn't the focus. What I'm talking to them about is thinking big mindset. What can we do? We're in an industry where a lot of people think that a buyer's agent is going to cap out at 35 to 50 units a year. And I'm here to tell you it's not accurate. We have the ability to do just as much as a listing agent does. It's not a less than role, as long as we leverage it in a way that's similar to the MREA model, just on the buy side instead of the listing side. So when you bring somebody in and you've structured it in a way that you're a business person and not a real estate agent, what we're doing is we're saying, we've got admin support, we've got the details for you. Now we're providing the leads, right? So we're providing lead generation. We've got this massive pipeline. We need you to step in and be a closer. So what happens is I can pitch a whole business because I've built a very solid foundation. I can also have a very high standard because I know what can be done and I have pursued mastery. And when I'm bringing people in, if they have that same level of commitment, it drives the organization further faster. So why would you focus on the showing agent model? Why would a buyer's agent that's doing, 50 to 75 units a year or 75 plus units a year, why would they focus on this? Why would they take on managing someone and having the risk of someone instead of just doing their normal units? What happens is as we look to mastery and as we're chasing mastery, they talk about the principle of greatest leverage, which is this focusing on your 20% activities, your top dollar producing activities, and staying in that zone as much as you can so you can have exponential results. Well, what happens is as we're chasing mastery and we become more efficient, our 20% changes. That my 20% is different than it was when I was a first year buyer's agent. My 20% is different than the first year I added showing agents. And understanding that on our path to mastery, that 20% changes and it narrows and we get more and more focused. There's this great book called The One Thing. What happens if you focus small? You have exponential results. So what we're building is we're building a team of specialists that operate in their sweet spot. They're in their strength zone for as much of the day as we can possibly get them. And what happens is we have exponential results. Last year, our team closed 464 units. The average agent, the average production person on my team closed 90 units. We had 5 people in production last year. Now we have a massive amount of admin. We have a massive, 5 people in lead generation. We've got everyone dialed into their top 20%. And what happens is then you have exponential results. And when you've got that much talent on a team, talent pushes talent and everybody rises together. The model allows for you to create bigger systems for productivity and efficiency. When you dial into the showing agent model, your systems get bigger, your production gets bigger, and your efficiencies, you start at first, some of the efficiencies are scripting and some of it is time blocking, and that then it gets so narrow that it's a well-oiled machine. The peaks and valleys are going to go out of your business. It's going to be very consistent in how many units per month you can do, how many per year you can do, so that you can start building that bench and looking forward to, okay, if I want to do this next year, now I have a mathematical equation to get us there. I'm not guessing, I'm not hoping. I know that we can get there based on the activities that we're going to do. The showing agent model allows you to build a massive buyer pipeline. What I mean by that is if you've got showing agents and we're building out this pipeline, your lead generation team has so many opportunities to build out that pipeline, and we can look at what these nurturers look like so that any person that enters our lead funnel, we know that we can capture and we can nurture and we can eventually service. The model allows you to maximize your personal productivity and create success through others. This is your path to success. People are always part of our path to success. And I think the quicker that we learn that and the quicker that we can embrace that, the faster we will reach the success levels that we want to reach, and we'll bring people along with us. And what a fun life that is to lead. So again, our program details, I think I've got 1 minute to wrap up. Program details, our launch is on Wednesday. It's at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Price is $149. If you go into mapscoaching.com and you click on the level up, building a team within a team, it will take you right to the registration. And I think we might have one question. I mentioned that qualifying the buyer is the buyer's agent roles. So it depends on whether the ISA does that or I do that. If it's somebody that we're doing a pre-qualification screen on the phone, certainly our ISAs are capable of that. They are not just appointment setters. They are also licensed agents, and they're experts in their role. So I would allow them to handle that pre-qualification. If it's somebody that they can't get a good feel over, either myself or the lead buyer specialist would do that. And then there is somebody asked a question about the recording. The recording should be emailed out to everybody within an hour after the call ends. And then one more question. What's the best way to transition a showing agent to a buyer's agent? Did you have the buyer agent still, I can't read the rest of that, still take a KPA, I think is what it says. My showing agent had been with me 3 years, so we were in training consistently the whole time. I knew she was ready to take over the role. I will tell you though that every few years that somebody's on our team, we do go back through the KPA process. We go back through the CV. We have them redisked so that we can have the conversation about what has changed in their life. They're different people after they've been on our team for 2 to 3 to 4 years because they've been exposed to great big ideas and big thinking and all that KW has to offer. So we are consistently going through processes with them to make sure that we are all in a win-win. So I have run out of time. I'm going to give you my direct email address. It is Jen Davis, KW, JenDavis, KW@gmail.com. So if you have any questions directly for me that I did not answer, I would certainly love to help you out. And I hope I have the opportunity to coach you during this program that launches on Wednesday. I hope you all have a great day. Go and be productive.